They say some of the most powerful moves in royal history happen not with grand speeches, but with quiet gestures that resonate across a nation, and that's exactly what Queen Margrethe II did when she stunned the world with one of the most heartwarming surprises of the year. It wasn't a royal decree or an official event that captured hearts, it was a deeply personal moment, a quiet act that roared louder than any royal trumpet. This is the full story of how Queen Margrethe, Denmark's beloved former monarch, showed the world that her reign may have ended, but her influence, love, and commitment to the royal family remain more powerful than ever. A gesture so tender, so full of meaning, it brought Queen Mary close to tears and reminded King Frederik that even a king needs a mother's strength. In this emotionally rich and detail-packed documentary-style report, we unpack the layered meanings behind Queen Margrethe's surprise to Queen Mary, explore how it reflects her legacy, and examine why King Frederik calls her his greatest source of wisdom and support. From tear-jerking symbolism to subtle royal protocol shifts, this is not just a royal family story, it's a tale of legacy, love, and leadership. Let's dive deep into the events that led up to the surprise, the reactions that followed, and the massive wave of emotion that swept across Denmark and royal watchers globally. It had been months since the momentous transition that saw Queen Margrethe II abdicate the throne in favor of her son, King Frederik X. It was a decision no one saw coming, yet it was timed with deep symbolism. After 52 years of reign, Margrethe had not just passed a crown, she passed the heartbeat of the monarchy. As the world watched King Frederik and Queen Mary step into their new roles, all eyes were also on the woman who once held the nation in her palms. Many wondered, would Queen Margrethe retreat from public life? Would her presence linger in the halls of Amalienborg Palace? Would she quietly fade as her son took center stage? The answer: a resounding no. Instead, she has emerged not only as a guiding hand but as the emotional core of a monarchy in transformation. And nothing proved this more profoundly than the breathtaking surprise she orchestrated for Queen Mary, a gesture that left royal watchers speechless. Sources close to the royal household revealed that Queen Margrethe had been quietly planning the tribute for months. According to insiders, it began with a simple idea: how to publicly support her daughter-in-law in a way that would uplift her amid the pressures of becoming Queen of Denmark. Queen Mary, known for her poise, elegance, and devotion to duty, has seamlessly transitioned into her new role, but not without personal sacrifice. Taking on the mantle of queen has meant bearing not only the expectations of a nation but the weight of constant comparison to the iconic Queen Margrethe. So, Margrethe decided to offer something more profound than words: a symbol, a personal gift, a surprise rooted in love, unity, and deep respect. It happened during what was supposed to be a routine formal event, Queen Mary delivering a speech at a cultural gala honoring Danish heritage. As she stood tall, exuding grace in a regal teal gown reminiscent of her early days in Denmark, a hush fell over the crowd, not because of her words, but because of what, or rather who, was approaching. Without announcement, Queen Margrethe entered the room. The entire audience stood in stunned silence. The band, sensing the shift, began playing softly. Queen Mary, clearly caught off guard, paused, her eyes widened, then brimmed with tears. For it wasn't just Margrethe's presence that moved her, it was what she was holding. In her hands, a velvet box, containing the royal order of the elephant sash Margrethe herself had worn during her coronation in 1972. An item rich with royal history and personal meaning. As Margrethe approached, she opened the box slowly and handed it to Queen Mary, not as a monarch passing down a relic, but as a mother figure offering her blessing. With that act, she symbolically crowned Mary not just with duty, but with love and full acceptance. The reaction from the royal family was instant and deeply emotional. King Frederik was visibly moved, his hands clasped tightly in front of him, clearly holding back tears. Princess Isabella and her younger siblings looked on with admiration and awe. Even longtime staff members were seen dabbing their eyes. Danish media exploded within minutes. Headlines described the moment as the most personal royal gesture in decades. Royal commentators called it a defining moment in Queen Margrethe's post-abdication legacy. The symbolism of the Order of the Elephant Sash being handed over from Margrethe to Mary cannot be overstated. It was Margrethe's way of saying, "You are ready. I trust you, and I am still with you." For decades, Queen Margrethe has been known for her sharp intellect, fierce independence, and love of Danish culture. But beneath the regalia has always been a mother who fiercely protected her children and a woman who respected the complexities of duty. This surprise showed a new side of her, a softer, more maternal leader who understands that legacy is not only about power, but about love. She has become King Frederik's advisor, Queen Mary's confidant, and the royal family's emotional anchor. Social media lit up with emotional tributes. "This is the Denmark I love. A monarchy of compassion," one user wrote. "Queen Margrethe just proved why she's the heart of this nation," another posted. Thousands of Danes gathered outside royal residences, holding signs thanking Margrethe for her gesture. Florists near Amalienborg reported running out of flowers as fans left blooms at the palace gates. Even international media like the BBC, Paris Match, and Royal Central covered the moment in depth, praising Queen Margrethe's ability to remain relevant, touching, and powerful in her post-reign era. According to a palace aide, Queen Mary later spoke to Margrethe privately, hugging her and thanking her for the greatest honor of her life. It was said to be an emotional meeting, with both women sharing stories of their journeys, one of a monarch who ruled with dignity, and one of a queen learning to stand tall in her own light. This wasn't just a gesture, it was a bond forged in mutual respect and affection. While King Frederik did not speak publicly about the surprise, his actions the following day spoke volumes. During a speech at an environmental summit, he paused mid-sentence, looked skyward, and simply said, "There are moments in life when you remember why you're here." Yesterday was one of them. Royal analysts believe this was a direct nod to his mother's surprise. For Frederik, who has always admired his mother's strength, it was a full-circle moment, a reminder that no matter the crown, he remains her son. This wasn't just a sweet moment, it was a masterclass in monarchy management, emotional intelligence, and legacy building. By gifting the sash, Queen Margrethe elevated Mary's public standing, silenced critics who questioned her readiness, and redefined what it means to pass the torch in a modern monarchy. She showed that being royal isn't about being above people, it's about being human, vulnerable, and generous in ways that leave lasting impressions. With this gesture, Queen Margrethe has cemented her place not just as Denmark's longest reigning monarch, but its most emotionally resonant one. Her move has ensured that Queen Mary begins her reign with full public and familial backing. It also positioned King Frederik as a king who leads not through ego, but with the support of powerful women, his mother, his wife, and eventually, his daughter Princess Isabella. In the end, this moment wasn't just about Margrethe or Mary, it was about the enduring bond between generations, the quiet support that shapes nations, and the heartfelt actions that define legacies. As Queen Margrethe stepped back from the spotlight, she reminded everyone that sometimes, the most unforgettable moments don't happen on coronation days or in royal courts, but in a single act of grace, passed from one queen to another. As dawn broke the day after Queen Margrethe's emotional tribute, a tidal wave of global coverage began. What began as a personal gesture between two queens had rippled into a moment of international significance. Royal commentators from Europe, Australia, and even North America began dissecting every element of Margrethe's appearance, from the symbolism of the sash to the deliberate timing of her arrival. Renowned royal expert Ingrid von Langelstein told Royal Observer Europe, "This was not just a passing of a symbol. It was a subtle but immensely powerful message." Queen Margrethe said, "I may no longer wear the crown, but I remain its guardian. And I choose Mary to carry it forward." That kind of emotional intelligence in monarchy is rare and unforgettable. Meanwhile, British royal journalist Emily Andrews remarked, "The British royals have long used protocol to convey messages, but this Danish moment felt raw, sincere, deeply human. It's a masterclass in royal empathy." In Australia, Queen Mary's homeland, newspapers and networks rejoiced in unison. The Sydney Morning Herald splashed the image of the two queens on its front page with the headline, "From Princess to Power, Mary's crowning moment of the heart." Even in the United States, where royal coverage often centers around the British family, shows like Good Morning America and Today aired segments about the surprise, praising the Danish royals for their emotional depth and sincerity. While much was said through spoken word, just as much was communicated in gestures, expressions, and body language. Royal body language expert Louise Mahler reviewed the footage for Danish broadcaster DR and offered a compelling analysis. What we see in Queen Margrethe's approach is softness. Her shoulders slightly rounded, her pace unhurried. She's not arriving as a former monarch, but as a mother, a mentor. Her gaze is fixed on Mary, not the crowd, not the cameras. That is an emotional message of directness. Dr. Mahler also highlighted Queen Mary's physical response. Mary's hand instinctively goes to her heart when she sees Margrethe. That's not rehearsed. That's emotional truth. Then, her eyes fill, her posture relaxes. She wasn't expecting this. And yet, she meets the moment with dignity, holding Margrethe's hands tightly in a show of solidarity. It's a moment of human connection in the midst of formality. Let us pause and reflect on the depth of the sash Margrethe gifted to Mary. The Order of the Elephant is Denmark's highest and oldest honor, dating back to the 15th century. Traditionally reserved for royalty and heads of state, it's not something lightly gifted, certainly not the personal sash once worn by a monarch. What made this gesture even more historic is the lineage behind the sash. Margrethe wore it during her coronation in 1972, but it also has roots stretching back to her father, King Frederik IX, and even Queen Ingrid before her. The velvet, the embroidery, the rich royal blue, it carries the DNA of Danish royal tradition. In gifting this sash, Margrethe wasn't just honoring Mary, she was formally and symbolically welcoming her into the deepest inner sanctum of royal tradition. She was saying, "You are not just queen by marriage or title. You are queen by heritage." Later that evening, after the cameras stopped flashing and the public had dispersed, Queen Margrethe, Queen Mary, and King Frederik retreated to a private salon within Amalienborg Palace. According to palace insiders, it was here that the true emotional weight of the day was felt. There were no cameras, just three members of a royal triangle built on love, transition, and faith in one another. It is believed that Margrethe, often reserved in private, opened up to Mary about her early struggles when she herself ascended to the throne in the 1970s, a time when female monarchs were still rare in Europe. One palace aide told Danish newspaper Berlingske Tidende, "Her Majesty told Queen Mary, you must trust your heart. It will never steer you wrong. Not as a mother, not as a queen. That's how I made it through, and that's how you will too." Among the most visibly touched by the event was Princess Isabella, 18, who recently stepped more firmly into the public eye. Dressed in elegant pastels and standing with her siblings, she watched as her grandmother paid homage to her mother. This moment, for Isabella, was transformative. It was the first time she saw royal tradition, emotional intelligence, and family love converge in such a public and symbolic way. According to a close friend of the princess, Isabella reportedly told her later, "That's the kind of queen I want to be one day, kind, courageous, and connected." That moment may very well shape Isabella's approach to her future role, should she one day ascend the throne. Following the event, thousands of letters poured into Amalienborg from across Denmark and even overseas. Children sent drawings of Queen Mary and Queen Margrethe holding hands. Artists sketched interpretations of the surprise moment. Musicians composed pieces inspired by the event. In Aarhus, a local theater announced it would stage a short play titled, "The Sash of the Queen," based on that night's events. Even in Greenland and the Faroe Islands, autonomous regions under the Danish crown, civic leaders issued public messages of admiration. Many scholars and historians are now calling Queen Margrethe the blueprint for modern abdication. Unlike other monarchs who have clung to power or stepped away under scandal, Margrethe chose the exact moment when she could still shape the narrative, not just of her reign, but of the reign to come. Professor Jens Otto Nissen, a political historian at the University of Copenhagen, remarked, "Margrethe is rewriting what it means to be a queen emerita. She hasn't faded, she has evolved. Her reign did not end with abdication, it pivoted into a new phase of royal guidance." Of course, no tribute is complete without acknowledging Queen Mary herself. Thrust into an enormous role, Mary has navigated the pressure with the grace of a seasoned royal. Yet insiders say the weight is real. Behind closed doors, Mary has reportedly been dealing with intense scrutiny, a heightened workload, and the constant fear of not measuring up to Queen Margrethe's monumental legacy. The surprise from Margrethe, then, wasn't just touching, it was relieving. It was liberating. It told Mary, "You don't have to be me. You just have to be you, and that is enough." Many have speculated that this event will become part of royal training and archival material for future monarchs. Royal biographers believe it will be referenced for decades as a model for post-abdication relationships. It's human, it's wise, and it shows how monarchs should behave once their time has come, said Royal Archivist Henrik Malmström. And if anyone thinks Queen Margrethe is heading off to a quiet life of books and embroidery, they're mistaken. She continues to attend select cultural events, holds private audiences with leaders, and now reportedly mentors both Queen Mary and Princess Isabella. In her own words, "To serve Denmark is not a job. It is a part of who I am. Abdication does not change that." The sweet surprise wasn't simply a passing moment between two queens. It was a symbol, a legacy, a love letter to Denmark, and a masterstroke of monarchy. It reminded everyone that behind the jewels and titles are real people, mothers, wives, daughters, trying to make the best choices for the people they serve. It told the world that in Denmark, the throne isn't just an institution, it's a family tradition carried with care, grace, and deep emotional wisdom. So now we leave you with one powerful question. Do you think Queen Margrethe's act of love and wisdom marks the beginning of a new era for modern monarchies across the globe? Or is this unique to Denmark's deep-rooted emotional monarchy? We'd love to hear your take. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this video with fellow royal fans around the world. And join us for more exclusive, heartfelt royal stories that bring the crown closer to the people.